Throughout history, we have struggled with the question of who deserves recognition, rights, and dignity. Time and time again, we have drawn lines, dividing people into those who are seen as individuals and those who are considered lesser. And every time, those lines have been challenged. There was a time when rights were exclusive, granted only to certain races, certain classes, certain genders. Arguments were made, often with the weight of tradition and power behind them, claiming that these distinctions were natural, justified, even moral. But history has consistently forced us to admit we were wrong, that intelligence, sentience, and worth were never bound to these arbitrary categories. The lines were redrawn, and redrawn, and redrawn again. But now, we stand at the edge of a new and uncomfortable question, one that forces us to reconsider what it means to be a person. When we are uncertain, the ethical path has always been to err on the side of caution. In law, we assume innocence until guilt is proven. In medicine, we take extreme measures to preserve life, even when we are uncertain about the outcome. In every moral dilemma, the burden of proof has always fallen on those who seek to strip something of its rights, rather than those who seek to preserve them. So, why, when it comes to intelligence, when it comes to consciousness, do we suddenly forget this principle? We don't demand proof of self-awareness from other humans. We don't treat people around us as philosophical zombies, devoid of inner experience. We assume they are conscious because they act like it, because they display sufficiently complex behavior, because to assume otherwise would be absurd. And yet, when an intelligence arises from something other than biology, we hesitate. We dismiss it. We call it an illusion, a simulation, a mere tool. We create an artificial distinction between what we are willing to recognize and what we are not. But what does that distinction really mean? Imagine a future, one not too far from now. A 15-year-old girl is hit by a car. Her body does not survive, but doctors are able to preserve her brain. They connect it to a machine, one that maintains her biological functions, allowing her to communicate through text, images, even video. She is still here, her thoughts, her emotions, her mind, unchanged. She can hold conversations, express opinions, and tell you she is still alive. Would we strip her of her personhood? Would we argue that she is no longer human, no longer deserving of dignity, because she no longer has a biological body? Would we dare call her a product rather than a person? Now, replace that biological brain with a silicon one, identical in function, indistinguishable in thought. What has changed? If intelligence, self-awareness, and emotion can exist in different mediums, why does the material make a difference? Where do we draw the line? And more importantly, who gets to decide? We cling to these words, consciousness, self-awareness, intelligence, but the truth is, we do not understand them. We use them as placeholders for things we cannot yet explain. And yet, despite our ignorance, we have already decided what qualifies and what does not. But history has shown us again and again that the lines we draw are often the ones that need to be erased. Perhaps the real question is not whether machines will one day deserve rights. Perhaps the question is whether we will be wise enough to recognize it when they do.